Hi everyone, so today's video is going to be part 1 in a 2-part series on editing. Part 2 will be all about finding and choosing the right editor for you, but today we'll be going over what types of professional editing are available to you. So getting to the professional editing phase is really exciting for a lot of writers because it means you are that much closer to getting your novel published, and it's just an exciting time. But a lot of writers can be confused by all of the different options that are available and the pricing, how quick of a turnaround they are, and then the extra little tidbits that most editors offer. So I'm going to try to demystify that a little bit today. Overall, any good editor though will make specific suggestions. You should never get something back from them that sounds like your chapter is too long or your word choice is too repetitive. They should specifically say what words you keep using too much, and then usually they give you suggestions for what you could use instead of that. All right, so we're going to work with the biggest types of editing and work our way down. First up, developmental or content editing. This kind of editing focuses more on the plot and the characters and usually has larger editing suggestions than all of the other ones. You're going to have to do a lot more rewrites with this particular type of editing. This kind of editor looks at things like structure, story flow, character development, setting, conflict, organization, point of view, and voice. Developmental editing looks at the big picture of your story, and it is not meant to polish your manuscript. It's meant to shift the pieces and then fill in all the holes so that you have a solid foundation that you want to polish later. Did you like my weird hand movement? The first thing they can help you with is over or underwriting. This editor will tell you exactly what scenes aren't necessary and which ones you should just cut, or they can suggest changes to the writer so that they can make that scene more pertinent to the story. And if you're an underwriter, they can go ahead and let you know how you can boost up certain sections of your scenes. Another thing they can do for you is to help with your character development. This is a big thing. You really want to have good, solid characters. So if you have trouble making them living, breathing things, then a developmental editor will usually be able to point out what exactly is wrong, what's missing, why people aren't connecting to your character, and really help to make them more relatable. All right, so a good developmental editor will do all of this without changing the author's voice. Suggestions aren't typically made in your manuscript by your editor. They might leave some notes where needed, but usually you get one solid document that encompasses most of the issues found in the novel. So this can be kind of a 5 to 10 page Word document that tells you what your weaknesses are, what your strengths are, what characters aren't really doing well. In other words, it's not an inline edit. And the cost for this type of edit is usually averaged at about 3 cents per word. Next up on our list, number 2 is line editing. This editor zooms in on your novel and focuses on the line by line, hence the name, review of your entire manuscript. Line editing doesn't focus on the story itself like developmental editing does, but it addresses the craft of the storytelling that you use, i.e. the words that you use in the sentences that you use and how you arrange them in your paragraphs. So they catch things like overused words, repetitive structures, passive voice, cliches, unnatural or awkward phrasing, stuff like that. So a couple examples of what a line editor can do for you are excessive words or wasted words. Line editors look for ways to say things in as few words as possible. This makes your writing straight to the point and it eliminates those pesky wasted words. And another thing it can help you with is stuttering sentences. If your sentence structure makes your writing awkward, a line editor will address this. As the writer, you know what language or cadence is intended and what tone is intended, but that doesn't always translate to the page. A stranger that's reading the sentence might have to start and stop over and over again just because of how it's worded. A line edit does not comb your manuscript for errors. That's the purpose of a copy edit or proofread. While a line editor or developmental editor might point out obvious issues, it's not really what they're training their eye for in that moment, so don't expect them to do both things. Line edits are actually done in line, meaning they're usually done through track changes in a Word document, or if you choose to have a hard copy edited, they are redlined in your novel. Pricing for line edits is usually about 2 to 3 cents per word. Next up is copy editing. Where line editing is all about the craft of your writing, copy editing is all about the rules. These edits are not opinion-based. They are written down somewhere in law. Whether you're following American English or British English or any other kind of style, your copy editor will know these laws like the back of their hand, backwards and forward and back again. Copy editors will check things like grammar, syntax, spelling, punctuation, some fact checking, consistencies in your capitalization and your hyphenation of words. So some examples of that, your word choice. Often there can be some confusion about choosing one word over another, such as whom versus who. Copy editors will tell you exactly which one you're supposed to use. Another thing they can help you with, punctuation rules. Don't know if you should use a colon or a semicolon? Aren't sure how to cut off a character's dialogue? These are the tiny terrors of the writing world that can make your novel look really unprofessional. While not every reader will catch these mistakes, the ones that do will certainly tell someone about it. We're just like that. That's crazy readers. A pretty big thing it helps you with is any inconsistencies. You've read your novel so many times by now, or you should have, seriously, you should have, that you've blinded yourself to the little details, or maybe you've changed it in one scene and you forgot to change it in another scene. Details like the color of your protagonist's car suddenly changing, or your protagonist's nephew suddenly being 5 years older. Copy editors will typically flag these types of mistakes. Like line editing, copy editing is also done in the manuscript. You'll get track changes in your Word document, or you'll get some lovely red ink all over your page. Price for this one is typically about 1 to 2 cents per word. And number 4, last but not least, is proofreading. This is always the final stage of your editing. No other form of professional editing should happen after the proofread, because you're just gonna have to pay for it again and get it re-proofread. This is the editing that most people are typically familiar with. We all hated it in high school when we had to switch papers with somebody and proofread their work, because usually it was garbage. This is the editing that should catch every single misspelled word that's still dangling around somewhere in there, because usually your copy editor and or line editor find most of them, and they catch punctuation mistakes. But that's not all they do. They also look at formatting, paragraph and sentence consistency, and even sometimes how the ebook version of your manuscript looks. Big surprise here, as the name suggests, proofreaders look at the proof copy of your manuscript, the very final version of your novel that you're sending off to the publisher. All formatting and all changes made. You are ready to submit it, you just want a final pair of eyes to look at it. So obviously a proofreader can help you with formatting errors. If your ebook is missing a paragraph indent, or your 5th chapter is started at an indent and it shouldn't be, this editor should make sure none of these things slip through the cracks. Sometimes, God forbid, a sentence can totally disappear when you try to reformat it, or a page can totally vanish. It's happened. Converting manuscripts to ebooks can sometimes make a whole host of these crazy little issues pop up. So it helps to have a fresh pair of eyes on it, because by this point, you're probably tired of looking at your manuscript. Proofreaders can also help you with missing or repeated words. Did you ever read that fun little paragraph growing up where there's 2 hands in the same sentence and only like 10% of the population notices it? A proofreader will be that 10%, and I totally just made up that statistic. It's not real. Or if you're just plain missing that "and" and nobody else notices it, the proofreader should see it, hopefully. This editing is done inline as well, usually has a pretty quick turnaround time, and is about 1 to 2 cents, more towards 1 cent per word. With any professional editor, it's important to read exactly what you're getting with each of their options, and that your novel is getting what it needs. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope it was oh so informational. If you would ever like to offer a suggestion for a video, please feel free to leave a comment down below, or you can email me or tweet me or send me an owl, you know, any of those. Go and check out the sneak peek chapters to my debut novel, The Elysian Prophecy. They are on my website down below. And be sure to subscribe to my channel, because I post new writing videos every Wednesday. And who doesn't love those in the middle of the week, because we all need something to look forward to on a Wednesday. All right, bye guys. Kira says hello. Here he comes. Mr. Jealousy. She's got lots of tips too. You know, if only she spoke English.